Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, consider others more valuable than yourself. Not only looking to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. This comes from scripture in the book of Philippians. And it goes on to talk about the character of Christ and him being the ultimate servant, looking to the needs of the world and ultimately taking the lowest position possible, even though he deserved the highest position. In today's Man Talk Monday, I want to challenge us to consider what it means to help someone else. And not necessarily just what it does for them, but what it does for you. And how we can reorient perhaps how we go about our day and how we think about what it might mean to have a successful day, what it might mean to have a day that we go to bed smiling, that it might mean that today was more than just about achievement or money made or treating myself, or really just putting those things in mind. Like, we all have our checklists, we all have our to-dos, and so the question would be, did I finish all of the things that I wanted to do? Did I accomplish all the things that I wanted to accomplish? This is really spinning the whole story sideways to where you're no longer in front and you're putting yourself behind so that someone else can be in front. It's letting somebody else have your place in line. Both maybe theoretically, but also like in a very real sense. And so the reason I wanted to bring this up today is because something took place this week that I wanted to share with you guys, something that I'm actually a little bit embarrassed by, something that I am actually, the more I think about it, I'm smiling not because it's a good thing. I'm actually embarrassed on how this all took place the more and more I reflect on it. I'll get to that in a minute. But I'm sure you've seen the clips where you have people running a marathon and they are trying to do their best. That runner is running their race for their best time, and they round the corner to go down the home stretch. Everyone, the whole crowd is there cheering them on. You see the big placard up there with the numbers, the clock counting. People have their watches dialed in. And I get choked up a little bit whenever I see this. Many of them are professional runners. It's what they do. It is their job to get the best time. They have to put themselves first. They literally are trying to be first. And you see the runner that has a cramp. You see the runner that is nearing the end and their legs just seize up and they collapse where they're at. And in droves, these runners will pass that runner by. Because it is a me first game. It is, I need to cross that finish line. I've been training for this for the whole year, maybe years, to get my best time. But then you see the one person, maybe it's two people, and they decide to stop. Recognize what is more important here. Not the finish line, but the person in front of them. Not an achievement or a goal met, but the person that is having a really hard time right now. They're like kind. They're human. They're this other person that has also been training has collapsed and they need help. And really, there's just one way that that's going to happen. That's going to be someone to stop what they're doing, take time to notice and recognize, and say, you know what, I'm going to value this person's needs above my own. This person's interest is getting help, and perhaps even helping them realize their own dream, and that's just crossing the finish line. And in those moments, you see them pick the person up and carry them across the finish line. And I mean, there's people weeping. I do sometimes when I see these videos. It's very moving because it is it's not selfish. It's not self-serving. Not only did that person not have anything necessarily to gain from that, they lost something. They sacrificed something to make that help a reality. And so today, I want to encourage you to, yes, think about that image. Maybe you've been in both of those positions. You've had the opportunity to help, and you know what it feels like to offer that kind of help. Maybe you're also the person that really needed the help. So this last week, it was the end of summer for us in our house and for our kids. And it was just one of those days. Going back to school is no joke, especially with a first grader and a third grader, and the emotions were high. And it was, I mean, things were going on with the dog and with stuff going on at home. And it was one of those days where just nothing was adding up, and I was exhausted. And I had a neighbor come by and ask for help to do something, and like my tank was already empty, but I said, yeah, I'll help you. And so I went and I helped them do some stuff in their house, and we worked on some stuff and got that back up and running. And I kind of felt like I got the badge of honor. It's like, all right, yes, I didn't really want to do that, but I kind of gave myself there, and that was good. So I'm supposed to feel good about that. So now I go and I take my dog for a walk through the park. And in our kind of little bubble of our neighborhood, you don't really usually see anybody that doesn't live in the neighborhood at the park. But this time there was a woman, and she had 3 kids. And she came up to me. She said, hey, I'm just curious if you knew of anyone that can help with a hotel. And here in Texas, like, we are literally in a heat dome right now. It is super hot. It's dangerous. And I was like, a hotel? Like, what's going on? She said, well, my daughter's been having seizures. We just got out of the hospital. I left an abusive relationship, and I'm just needing $60 for the night. I'm like, okay, well, here's the number of a couple of churches in the area. I'm sure that they might be able to help you. And I'm going to go back home and maybe do some research. And if I make it back out here to the park and you're still here, maybe I can help you out. I don't know. And I tell you what, that last part, I just like kind of threw that up there because I was done. I did not really want to help in this situation at all. Chris, his goal at this point in time was to take a shower and get in bed. Those were my selfish interests. This is what I wanted to do. And came back and I told my wife, I'm like, she wants $60. And what's really ironic about this whole situation is the week before, as we're kind of doing like our really tight fine line budgeting, we had just eliminated the PMI on our mortgage and our insurance. And so we were getting $60 back basically a month. We were going to be saving $60 a month. This woman wanted $60. And so like, I'm actually having like some wrestling and like hard time in my heart of like giving this $60. And there's another piece of me too, where it's like, I've read books like When Helping Hurts. It's like, are you aiding a problem here? Are you actually helping something where somebody's just stuck in a cycle? And my wife said something. She goes, yeah, helping does hurt sometimes. It does hurt situations sometimes, but also sometimes helping just helps. And maybe we're not the judge of that. And that hit me pretty hard, because I know I've been in places before where I needed help. I needed someone to bend down and help pick me up out of my situation where I was genuinely stuck. And those people gave me their time. They gave me their resources. They they mentored me, they discipled me, they shared stories with me that really helped move me along into a better place or get across the finish line that I was trying to get across. And so all that to say, I folded up $60. I put some phone numbers of some resources that perhaps this lady could look into. But that evening I was so set on like just giving her the money and like kind of like washing my hands and just being done. And reflecting on it after some time now, I'm curious how much we might pay to have more opportunities to serve someone. How much more we might pay with our time, sure, with our resources financially, with our gifts and our talents. How much we might pay if we knew that people really just genuinely needed to be seen and be put first above ourselves, that their interests might come before our own. Because this is what that scripture is talking about, that if we as humanity, if we all operated, us as men, if we operated in a sense of selflessness, and we could all kind of handshake and say, we're all going to be selfless here. I'm really curious what that would do in our little spheres that we live in. And perhaps, the ripple effect that could have to others that we do life with in the workplace and in our schools and in our churches and in our hobbies, and especially just in our own home. What would it look like to put the interests of our wife first, the interests of our kids first, the interests of our friends first? And even this is where it gets tough sometimes. What would it look like to put the interests of someone that is of a different economic status first, or a different race first, or a different religion first? What might that look like? How would that make you feel practicing that on a more regular basis? And so I'll conclude with this. I encourage you to look for opportunities to serve, to help, to put others first. All right, that's it, guys. Happy Man Talk Monday.